multimedia journalist and former BBC correspondent Donu Kogbara, who is from Rivers State, and by the public policy analyst and political communication strategist Kenny Okolubo. Lady and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Let me start with you, Donu, because you are from Rivers State. This is your that's your backyard. Was Governor Fubara's withdrawal statesmanship, strategic retreat, or political capitulation?
It was the complete surrender of a very weak man. You know, Wike picked well when he chose Fubara in 2022 because it guaranteed one of two outcomes. Either he was going to be able to completely dominate Fubara throughout his tenure as governor and, you know, snap his fingers and get whatever he wanted, or he was going to be able to remove him if Fubara refused to play the slave. So Wike wins in the sense that he judged Fubara's character right, and I'm afraid Fubara has been completely humiliated, in my opinion. He was never my choice for governor, but last year, when they foisted a state of emergency on us and did all kinds of disrespectful things to Rivers people, I supported Fubara, thinking that, look, you know, we can't allow this man to be completely disgraced. But I'm afraid he crept back to go and beg Wike and Tinubu without even informing those of us who were trying to support him. And I suppose this outcome, in a way, is almost inevitable, because if he had listened to people like me who said, look, Rivers people on the whole are supporting you, fight, and you win. Because, I mean, Wike is not... one person cannot dominate that many people. If that many people say, no, we're not slaves, you don't own this state. I absolutely reject the state capture and the lack of integrity that Wike has displayed. Even though I sympathized with him when he first complained to me that Fubara was not behaving himself, I just thought, well, this is somebody you plucked from nowhere. You made him governor. Can't he show you some small... Can't he concede to you? But, you know, at the end of the day, I have made it very clear that I don't think that a governor should be so trapped that he has to continuously concede to his godfather. And by the way, let me just say, Kenny, I know you're dying to talk.
No, it's your state. You can see I'm listening with rapt attention.
Let me just say, Wike is not the only godfather who has been disappointed by the person he installed as governor. I remember the current Senate President, Akpabio, telling me some years ago what he went through after he installed Udom. He never told me the whole story, but I know he was not happy about some of the treatment that was dished out to him in the immediate aftermath of his departure from Government House in New York. But Akpabio has not gone back to Akwa Ibom to destabilize it, viciously mess everybody up, turn all the State House of Assembly people against the governor. He has not allowed his ego to allow him. Or he just, look, there's so many governors who have been through what Wike has been through. It's kind of normal in this country, but never before have I seen this level of megalomania and this refusal to accept that the state does not belong to you and your family and your cronies.
That's a very interesting opening line. And let me come to you, Kenny. If your bowler hat was black, I would say that you were Mr. Bojangles. Or at least Sammy Davis Jr. pretending to be.
I just wanted to look different tonight.
It looks nice. It fits you. But Governor Fubara says he stepped aside out of sacrifice in the interest of peace and stability. When politicians in Nigeria withdraw in the name of peace, should we take it at face value or ask who gained power and who lost it?
Well, I mean, I'll beg to see it from a bit of a different perspective from Donu. Even though it's your state. No. But you know, I have actually spoken about this Fubara's matter. You know, probably like more than 50 times. People even think I know Minister Wike. The only time I ever saw Minister Wike was when we were in PDP on the close range. Even with my former principal, I never got to meet him. And so the thing about what I need to say,
in Delta State, where you come from, do people put up with the kind of crap that Rivers people have? No,
but wait, you have to look at it from different perspective. For example, Governor Berewori chose not to make trouble. People are different. You see the amount of people that came out today to return Berewori, even though he was the only candidate, or rather aspirant to that office, it didn't matter. People still turned down. There was this large turnout, and that sent a very strong message even to those who might want to challenge him. But you see, the problem I had with Fubara, if you look at my Twitter handle at Kenny Okolugbo, it's trending. It's trending because I was the only one that predicted that the state of the emergency was going to be most likely was going to be imposed.
Yeah.
And people were wondering that why was I talking about?
I do recall that because I think you mentioned it on this program. I mentioned it
too here. I said I was one that kept saying that the state of emergency was going to come. I think what happened was that Fubara had wrong advisors. They kept giving him the wrong counsel. And the more the peace was trying to come, the more the wrong counsel was coming. When the House of Assembly was burnt, that cost the state 20 billion. I thought that would be more of your concern.
I was very annoyed about that.
Your state is having to spend 20 billion building back a House of Assembly because of this crisis.
No, I did complain about
could have been avoided. If it was my state, I would shout it blue black mother. You understand what I'm trying to say? But it's not my state. But Rivers is a very important state. But where I think Fubara got it wrong was he should never have bought the form. Wike made it very clear. He didn't hide it that there was an agreement, and that every time they had the agreement, he said he wasn't going to go for a second tenure. But the more the agreements were reached, the more it looks like he was breaking the agreement. And
he was trying to assert his independence.
It wasn't about asserting
which is perfectly entitled to do.
I think it's about wisdom, because when you have 29 members of the House of Assembly, 30 members of the House of Assembly, and 27 of them are against you, you must try to poach them. If you can't poach them, then you must capitulate. You come and you say you recognize only 3 members of the House of Assembly, and you say the rest do not exist, and that in your own statement they don't exist. I warned him about James Omotoshaw's judgment. I said it on your program. I said it on the sister station. It was like I just kept giving him all the advice, and everything has come to play. So I see Fubara as the architect of his own misfortune, if you ask me. But I think we should also spare him at this point, because listen to the...
So you don't have anything to say about the way that he was treated and the way that...
Let me be fair to you. You have said I'm a politician. Look, when we run for office, we know what it takes to get structures. We know what it takes to build structures. You don't destroy the ladder you used to climb. If some of us had this opportunity to become governor, but you see, the thing about it is that these governors would rather not want to make someone like Ken a governor because they say he's vocal, he's not loyal. He will tell you your truth. He will speak truth to power. They want a Múmû. And when you see a Múmû who deals with you, then you don't understand that it's better to deal with that person that tells you as it is.
Yeah, but you know the difference. And let me come to...
so it's not like you're not trying to say... you could say Wike is overbearing. He has anger.
Yeah, well, that's the point, isn't it?
Yes.
Because she gave an example of even your former boss who was... Who put someone in there, but never behaved the same way.
About my former boss. I asked him one day, we were just seated together. In all honesty, I asked him, I said, I don't know where you get your shock absorber from. At that day, I told him about something and he wasn't doing it. I was getting very pained. And I saw that he was not moved. Do you understand? And I was like, the outside, I came around the bereaved. I just went, I said, what is it about you? What is it? What's wrong with... I was so angry. Where is this shock absorber? He just kept me quiet. It was later on he now answered me. I said, sometimes you don't understand that you don't quote silence. I couldn't even believe it when he told me. He said there are certain things you need to do, but you don't quote silence.
Right.
And I learned a lot from that position. So people are different. You can't say because of my former boss's temperament and compare it.
Okay, look, I've got to come to her because we're running out of time. I mean, Donu, you talked about before Kenny started speaking about whether the people of Delta State, where he comes from, would tolerate this kind of sort of imposition. So from your conversations and observations on the ground as if someone from River State, I mean, how do ordinary people in Rivers see what has just happened?
They are absolutely furious. I only know, like, a tiny percentage of people who cluster around Wike, frankly, very sycophantically, and they are willing to come up with any excuse to justify his misbehavior.
But that's a microcosm of Nigeria,
Majority
isn't it?
of Rivers people,
because that's the way people are.
So, please, can I just ask you a question?
People coalesce around politicians and ignore the majority of the
I saw
population.
the crowd that was there for Chinda today. Where did that crowd come from? For the primaries?
Oh, you've never heard of purchased
No,
crowds?
but the crowd I saw with Chinda today, I was really amazed.
Can I say something?
And did you hear his speech?
Yeah, well, let her respond to that. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just say that Kingsley Chinda is a very nice man. I have to tell you this. I know him. I actually even once went to Brazil with him to a conference and with some other people. He's a really nice man. And I know some people Chinda has helped quietly and privately. But I feel that he should have rejected this offer from Wike because it is wrong. Chinda comes from more or less the same village as Wike, the same LGA. We have had 3 or 4 Ikwere governors. Chinda is an Ikwere as well. In a state full of different groups, it is the height of insensitivity for Wike.
And you are Ogoni.
I'm from Ogoni.
Yeah.
There's never been an Ogoni governor, Ogoni deputy governor, Ogoni chief judge, Ogoni speaker of the State House of Assembly. Since Amechi, Celestine Omehia, and Wike, we've basically had almost non-stop Ikwere rule.
What of Odili?
Well, that was right at the beginning. And by the way, Odili is the father of all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
He's in Donny.
he has
Which
to
is close to my place.
You know, so I mean, I want to say that I am going to fight Chinda over this governorship thing, but it's not personal because I like him. But we all make mistakes morally, and I think for ethical reasons, Chinda should have refused to play this role. He knows very well it's not his turn, his ethnic group's turn. And by the way, will you stop blaming the victim? What you're look, I know that Fubara is a Múmû. Sorry, but
I didn't call
No, that's not a. We have to. We can't say that. We can't say that.
I just put it literally. That was literally saying that you see what.
Yeah, that's something.
Okay, well, I thought you said that.
No.
They always pick Múmûs like.
No, I said
Sorry.
people rather want to say I want this Múmû. I didn't say Fubara.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I know that. Okay, I know that Sim is not, you know, a rougher, strong person, and I feel that he should have handled the challenges he faced so much more robustly, courageously, intelligently. However, all you've done is blame the victim for not succumbing to the bully.
No, that's not
Yes,
all
you
I've done. I have also said
but she has a point, because I didn't hear you say anything about the other side of the Mason-Dixon line.
I'm going to come from the other side. Say yes, he has his anger problems. He's overbearing. Well, have you asked yourself that this same man made you an accountant general, made you the accountant general of the state before he decided he was going to make you a candidate of the party or help support you to become a candidate?
Yeah, but if somebody made
for 8 years,
if somebody made
you dealt with him for 8 years,
right?
And
But
you knew you had all this.
But if somebody made you something,
yes,
you know, and then turned around and wanted to use you, and I'm not making any allegations, but from what we hear, tried to make all kinds of impositions on you that are not only unethical, that are potentially against the rules in every possible way you could imagine. I mean, wouldn't it be proper for you to resist that?
You can resist with diplomacy. You can resist with a lot of tact. That is exactly what I tried to say. What they asserted, or what we know, is that he tried to remove the speaker. And it was too early in the day to try to remove the speaker. And that annoyed Minister Wike. And he said that much, that the speaker was his boy, Amewule. And he felt that even if you wanted to remove the speaker, you should discuss with me.
But Amewule was throwing his weight around.
No, but at least he tried to remove him without telling the man who has assisted you. At that point in time, if you saw you couldn't break the house, that's what I was saying. And that's what I've always said. Why not try and judge with the minister?
Right, okay.
Well, also early in the day, I'm not saying the minister could not have held back. But you know, it is very painful when you see that those that have helped you into power, not particularly because of him, are all being treated with levity because of one reason or the other. So most likely, you won't even be thinking of yourself at that point in time. You're thinking of those your followers and how you're going to help to place them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the impression that's given is that, you know, even if Fubara tried to hit him with a stick, he came back with a sledgehammer.
I think Fayose won. Fayose
And
won.
that clearly is what has happened.
Fayose actually warned about that. Well, that's why I say people have that different characteristics trait. Yes, some people have said that Wike is overbearing. That is one thing they keep saying about him. But the same Wike has so many people still working with him today.
But I think to be honest,
yes.
Kenny, I think you have a point in the sense that if he worked with him for that long,
yes,
he must have known the kind of
that's
person
exactly what I'm trying to say.
And yet he got in.
Then you couldn't tolerate him again in 3 months.
Yeah.
No, I did say myself.
Then he couldn't tolerate again the same week in 3 months or 6 months.
I did say myself that I myself wondered why, having known
so that was
for so long,
the problem.
Sim suddenly couldn't bear him anymore.
Well, let me ask you this, Donu, because again, you know the state better than us. I mean, is it now a determined, if you like, fact that the APC person is going to win the election?
No, it is not a done deal.
Right, because the reason I say that is that I understand from the grapevine, I don't know if you heard it, that Fubara's elder brother has picked the NDC nomination form for governor.
Well, that's the gentleman called Blessing.
Right. Does that tell us there are more
political... brothers?
Does that tell us that there are more twists and sort of
brothers?
No,
intrigues?
I asked someone from Opubu,
right,
that is Sims village, this morning, and he said that Blessing Fubara is
not related
to say.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that. I wondered as much. Yeah. I wanted to ask because you know people like the headlines. Once you say Fubara in NDC, you won't even have to read first. Everybody will want to rush until you go into the content. But you see, the thing about it is that there must be competition. I keep telling people about that. You don't expect that you just have your way in democracy without opposition. Definitely there will be competition. It was a beautiful thing that they didn't go into a contest and it was a consensus. Imagine if there was a contest in Rivers. No, imagine, but would you have wanted a contest in Rivers? Do you know how many people would have died?
I would.
You know how many people could have died?
So what you're saying is that if Wike doesn't have
I'm not saying Wike.
That's what you're saying.
No, let me tell you what happens in this kind of issue. You don't control your supporters. I have had that situation. You don't know what they're going to do. Some of them are very overzealous. It's not you telling them to go and kill somebody. Because of the fierce contest, and we all fear it as politicians too. Because of the fierce contest, you will find out that a lot of casualties could happen. Not because anybody is saying go and kill this person. Okay, so that's why we say let's always have a consensus for peace to reign. Okay, look at Cassidy for example. Why did Trump primary Cassidy? He primary Cassidy because Cassidy voted against him just because of that vote, that impeachment vote in 2021 when he had left office. He saw he was going to ensure that Cassidy didn't get a ticket. No, Cassidy the first, the senator. Okay, right, Massey is the House of Reps.
Yeah, Thomas Massey.
No, I'm not diverting attention. We're not talking about America, but I'm just trying to say it happens everywhere. Everybody wants to be interested in who you have helped there, and if the person is protecting your interest.
All I'm saying is that you're expecting me to be grateful that somebody who has violent supporters.
No, I'm not talking about violent supporters.
Yes, that's what you're saying. No, the threat of violence always held
in Lagos, for example, that there was supposed to be peace. Didn't you see the fight yesterday? Even in Delta, there was fight, just that there was no casualty. In Oyo, there was fight. What I'm saying is that in every political setting, there's always that tendency that when there's this competition that is very, very competitive and there's so much bad blood, the possibility of people dying is very high. You can't rule it away. Right. So all I'm saying is that if there's a consensus, it's better. What they did in Rivers was a win-win situation.
Because we are going to.
It was a win-win situation.
The point is that it's not actually consensus. It's the way that it's being interpreted.
It is because
by the pundits is a sort of. I mean, if you anyway.
Did you hear the publicity secretary? He said they had a meeting. And after the meeting...
the publicity secretary of Wike's fashion. A truth television.
Let's keep this moving. I mean, you talked earlier, Donu, that Governor Fubara, in your assessment, has emerged from this saga weaker.
Yes.
But some have argued that he has shown the kind of restraint that could strengthen his long-term standing, especially in the context of what Kenny is saying there, that potentially this could have just become a free-for-all.
Well, it can be interpreted in many ways. I mean, he doesn't like violence. That's one good thing about Sim. He clearly doesn't want more trouble than we have to have. Some people are interpreting it as restraint and, selflessness. I don't see it that way, actually. I see a man who kept on tugging the tiger's tail and couldn't deal with it when the tiger roared back. You know? Why did he annoy Wike in the first place if he wasn't ready?
No, he tried in the fight. He tried in the fight. He even went to the assembly and said, "This is my place." He told the IG, "You just can't intimidate me." He tried to assert himself. But you see, the truth about it was that he didn't have the structures. In politics, are all about structures. The structures that put you there were loyal to only one man, and they felt you were being disloyal too early in the day, 6 months down the line, and you couldn't tolerate the man anymore. All the beautiful things you could have said even before he put you there had all become, had all turned around to 360. Don't you must accept that in politics, you must have somebody who will
Look,
help
if you
you.
people want me to go back to civilization,
Maybe you should become the deputy governor.
maybe I should go back to Europe.
Since you are going
because all this, look, this is anything.
Yes, it's a good prayer. He's only saying you want to fight you. Okay, you, I'd rather even think of how I can.
Right. Okay. Let me get a final point from you, Donu. Reading between the lines of Governor Fubara's statement, because he made a statement as he withdrew, particularly his remark that not everything a hunter sees in the forest is spoken of in the marketplace. What do you think he's choosing not to say publicly?
Well, one thing he has never said publicly to his supporters, he has never provided his supporters with full transparency, and they have often felt cut adrift and unsure of where he stands and of where he's going. Many of them are devastated now. I think you heard that about 60 of them were rejected at the screening stage. This is your party, APC. It's toxic.
I know you want to be the man with APC. I just know that's what you want to rub off.
That's what's called
I know that's what she wants to rub off. Toxic. But do you actually understand why they were not cleared? You're not in the screen.
Very, very briefly, because we're out of time. Okay, you tell us why.
Okay. I wouldn't know. I wasn't a member of the screening committee. I was rather in Delta.
On that note,
they were not cleared because Nyesom doesn't like them.
Right.
Nyesom, our king, our emperor, but you know what?
But Nyesom was a member of the APC. You heard the publicity secretary.
Nyesom, you don't own River State.
APC.
He does not own River State, and even if we're going to die fighting, some of us are not going to allow him.
Well, on that note, I'm going to have to say this is a fascinating discussion, and I'm glad it was the two of you who came in to do it.
You told me Donu was going to come. I wouldn't have come. It was good you told me she was not coming.
Donu Kogbara is, of course, the international multimedia journalist, former BBC correspondent.